The next day we're back at the ad agency, and once again, this gorilla of a guard is glaring at our guy. He's fuming, saying he's heard about the little fiasco from yesterday. Jin stays silent as the guard rants, asking if he even knows who he's just messed with. With his usual cool swagger, Jin responds that he does not care whoever it was, as he was just doing his job. The guard has absolutely no idea how to deal with this lunatic, and he is struggling to find a way to argue with this puny punk. He then jabs his finger at our guy, and explains that the man he attacked last night is the third son of the head of KP Group, and he's the head of marketing of Seoha Cha's agency. You see, KP Group recently became a major investor in Seoha Cha's agency, so not only did he screw over Seoha, but now her entire agency is at risk because of him, so he demands to know if he can see the consequences of his actions. He then further tells Jin to forget about whatever fantasy he has about being a big shot and advises him to quit before he ruins someone else's life. The gorilla and his two lackeys walk off. Later, we see the same bespectacled guy standing outside, while the rich dude who got taken down last night by Jin is sitting inside. It looks like the head of the agency is telling Seoha to apologize to Mr. Kai for speaking out of turn. Seoha is visibly irritated by this, and reminds the fat man that she has a shoot today and has been dragged in early for this nonsense. Besides, she insists she's not the one who should be apologizing. The agency director nearly chokes on his breath at her bold stance in front of Mr. Kai. The fat man looks pale and asks Seoha what's gotten into her. She remains silent while the director apologizes to Mr. Kai, saying he's terribly sorry, and that Seoha has been under a lot of stress with the stalker situation. Mr. Kai then pretends to understand her predicament, saying she is going through a lot of stress, so he can forgive her. He then throws the contract papers onto the table, explaining that the contract was another reason he came here, since he heard she hasn't signed it yet. Seoha's frustration is off the charts, and the director reminds her that she had plenty of time to think it over, and he is sure that she will cooperate with the agency, since she has been with them since her trainee days. He also notes that he adjusted the conditions in her favor as well. Seoha quickly realizes that they're trying to corner her again and will team up to force her into signing. Mr. Kai then recalls the bodyguard from yesterday and tells the director to get rid of him as well, saying he can't stand the idea of such a violent person being around Seoha all the time. The greedy fatty quickly agrees to send that other guard back, who is our boy by the way. But as expected, Seoha tries to protest, but the fatty shuts her down and states that it's not just about what happened with Mr. Kai last night. He's also heard from the head of security that our boy is a problematic person. It seems like that bastard gorilla-like guard has reported about our boy as well. Anyway, Yoena quickly tries to defend Jin, stating that he did nothing wrong and what happened last night wasn't his fault. But suddenly her words catch in her throat as she realizes she's accidentally mentioned Jin's name. As soon as this rich bastard hears his name out of her mouth, he asks her if she's gotten that close to him, and if that's why she was being so rude last night. Seoha is clearly fed up with his constant suspicion and the way he's always digging into her personal life. She tries to explain that he's got it all wrong, saying Jin is just a bodyguard, and she's tired of this arrogant guy hounding her long after their breakup. The jerk smirks again and hints about getting rid of our boy who is working as a bodyguard for her currently. This twisted question catches the poor girl off guard. On the other hand, he goes on to say that someone who's so violent shouldn't be protecting people at all. Seoha quickly catches on to what this man is trying to imply, and she finds revolting how he is trying to take his revenge on an innocent boy. Her mind quickly flashes back to Jin's image, who's as harmless as they come, and asks if he really needs to take things this far. She wonders if he's just upset about the contract renewal and is taking it out on an innocent bystander. The jerk just sneers and says he's not upset about that since he knows she'll sign the contract. He's just worried about our boy endangering others. Seoha can clearly see that he's lying, so she tells him that he can feel happy as she is about to fire our boy off. But then the rich guy says he's not letting Jin off the hook just by firing him from his job. Seoha starts trembling as she worries about what worse things this man might do to him. Despite her fears, the rich guy tells her to just sign the damn contract so they can go out and celebrate. He then also orders his lackey to bring Jin in. Seoha knows that this guy just wants revenge for the humiliation Jin caused him last night, and when this rich guy flashes his smirk, he only gets on her nerves more, and all she can think about is getting the hell out of there as fast as possible. When Jin finally walks into the room, he just stands there while the cocky guy sneers at him, saying he's just a kid, and he now finally understands why he was so violent. The agency director then informs Jin that he won't be on Seoha's security detail anymore, and he'll be sending word to SW Corp as well, so he should just leave. After that, the cocky guy smirks and says Jin's life is about to get a lot harder. But Jin doesn't even bother with the threats and just stays silent. He looks at the lady and can tell she's not too thrilled to be here, so Jin calls out to her, reminding her they should get going before she's late for her next engagement. She quickly turns to look at him, and he asks if they should head out. That's when the rich man bursts into maniacal laughter and asks Jin if he really thinks he can take her with him. Jin just stands there silently, ignoring the mockery, while the rich bastard tells him to go ahead and try to take her with him. At that moment, the gorilla barges into the office with his lackeys. Once inside, he apologizes to his boss and says he'll handle Jin from now on. The woman looks completely shocked to see them, and the big guy just tells Jin not to make a scene and to step outside. But our boy just stands there, and Seoha quickly yells at him to go home, saying she doesn't need him as her bodyguard anymore and that he's fired. Well, even though he has already been fired from the job, my guy doesn't budge from his place, and just stands there firmly. That's when one of the guards lunges at him, calling him a little shithead. Jin quickly kicks the guard away like he's just a stray dog, which leaves Seoha absolutely shocked. The guard, on the other hand, goes down hard, bleeding everywhere. Everyone in the room is stunned by the scene, with the rich guy and the fatty's jaws dropping in shock. Meanwhile, the big guy looks even more frustrated. Jin then breaks the ice by pointing out that there's a misunderstanding because Miss Seoha-cha isn't his employer. And this unexpected news completely shocks Seoha.